riddle me this, okay? You're super, you know, you. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Halo Council. I'm Gandhi, of course, with Dmaq, Best Man Sick. And I brought a couple of new faces on the show. We have Tumba, StarCraft 2 community caster, now rising in the ranks of StarCraft, kicking major ass. Tumba, welcome.
Thank you much. Good to be here.
And then we have, you know, any introduction I
Why
give...
we got this guy?
Any introduction I give is just not going to do it justice. He's Yoda. Scoots, just go ahead and introduce yourself. I can't do it.
Hi, I'm Sir Scoots. Hi. I'm a StarCraft 2 guy.
Now why is that funny to us, Scoots?
Because I think a lot of people think I'm a StarCraft 2 guy, and I'm not. So it's kind of hilarious. Don't even play the game. But anyway.
So Evil Geniuses, Counter-Strike 1.6 player. He kicks some ass. But, you know, really, Dmaq, how are you? I have to welcome you. I always have to.
Yeah, I'm originally on the show. You should talk to me first before we talk to our motherfucker. Like, what kind of...
Gandhi knows. Gandhi knows.
First,
okay?
And then my word.
It's the hierarchy of things here, okay? We bring on people affiliated with other games, and we're like, okay, we got to talk to them first.
Either way, I'm okay. All right, I'm doing great because Scoots and honestly, I like to call him Tumba, but it's Tumba. I was going to say before, Tumba, Timon, and Pumbaa, we were talking about. I think it's perfect.
Yep.
But I'm kind of disappointed because we only sold 60 passes. I think that's kind of bullshit. A lot of it has to do with the timing, and so the people watching right now, I'm gonna make an emphasis of it all night long. You gotta go out and buy your motherfucking passes, straight up.
Oh, okay. But can you really put all the blame on them? Game types have not been released.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, now they have been doing all this talk saying that Halo should still be there, and I personally do believe that it should. But, I mean, if you have no game types released, I mean, in this economy, can you really be like, okay, screw it, I'm going to go to Columbus on a leap of faith?
Well, honestly, I don't think it's fair at all. Because last time, people who were going to Columbus knew they were going to Columbus in March. You know, that's when basically everything was announced. Early on in March, you knew what was going on all year long, at the latest. Now you have less than 6 weeks to really plan this whole trip out, and you're telling the community that if we don't sell as much, or at least this is the whole notion, if we don't sell over 200, then it's an ultimate disappointment and Halo is not what it once was. I still don't believe that. I think we try to sell as many as we can. We support online, and we do the best we can, and no matter what happens, Halo's still alive.
Yeah. Tumba, thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's like anything else, right? I think part of the thing may be the fact that if MLG is looking at, well, let's put them behind the 8 ball, and if they hit the number, then we know it's good, right? Because there's all these hurdles they got to get through, and if they can get through those, then we know it's worth going for. So I think it's more of a challenge to the community. Like, it may not be the most optimal conditions, but if you love your game, then you got to stand up for your game, and you got to buy that pass and go, man. That's all there is to it.
How many passes for Providence were sold like in the first 48 hours? And then, even though that was your nationals, what about the one before that? What are we relating it to?
Well, normally up until I think it was the beginning of the 2011 Halo Reach circuit, the first Halo Reach event we had, which was in 2010, sold out within 5 minutes. That was very standard of Halo team passes throughout Halo 3 and some at the end of Halo 2. So we're kind of putting it on this pedestal where we're expecting it to already be filled out in 5 minutes. Now, looking at quota-wise, I think realistically everyone was aiming for about 180 to 190 team passes, which would put us at about 3 times the amount where we had at Providence. But at the rate it's going, I mean, there's no rush for anything. There's no rush for game types coming out. It's kind of just like, well, they're going to show up because the game's on the circuit. That's how I feel, personally.
How many, I mean, do you think you got 20 teams that you all are aware of that just haven't bought yet, so that puts you at 80-something at least?
Well, I don't think any of the pros have purchased their team passes.
Okay.
So we have 16 on top of that. So we're looking at about 76.
But can't you honestly say that for sure? Because I don't think you could say that. Maybe the pros did buy their team pass. Maybe every pro team bought their team pass. Mm-hmm. And now we're stuck with only 40 amateur teams. I don't think we could definitely say that. But either way, 100 team passes not being sold in the first 48 hours, Halo players got to step it up. We got to get these team passes in order. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey,
Nexy.
What's MLG's magic number? Did Adam tell you a number that he would be like, okay, cool, I'm happy?
We said 180 on the show,
yeah.
right? Right, Scotty? Yeah. He said 180. So doing, you know, and Scoots, you tell me if I'm wrong. You go to events all the time. 6 weeks is not really the most ideal amount of time to plan for an event.
Well, no, and again, we'll probably talk about this in depth later in the show. It's not like you're in a world of full ride sponsored teams and guys not having to buy their own plane tickets either. So it's not me having to make a decision or, you know, a management of a pro team like Complexity going, okay, budget, yep, we got it, let's do it. It's guys figuring out if they want to spend the money, right, if they need to pick up extra shifts at work. I mean, that is still kind of the world you live in. You don't have 150 sponsored type teams anyway, right? So a lot of guys got to dig into their own pockets to come, to fill your number. And again, I think the biggest challenge is one that you can't even control. There's no carrot for Halo after Columbus, right? So even if you guys get your community, you know, whipped up to go to Columbus, they're kind of doing it like not really knowing the future after that, which sucks, right? Not your fault. I bet if they were looking ahead and saw Columbus, then saw the next stop, then saw the next stop, then saw the next stop, you'd be having a different conversation, right? Is the guy really going to save all his money to go to maybe the only last Halo event for him in his mind? I don't know. You know, he might just blow it off.
Hell of a point, Scoots. I personally, though, I put myself in their shoes, and if I wasn't casting or whatever, I was going to go and play at least or run a big booth or something along those lines and just kind of pay for a pass and be like, all right, I'm here for this. Maybe next time you'll hire me for casting. But, you know, I just think, like, that should be the sense of urgency. If it is the last ever Halo Reach event, when, you know, there has just been so much public flame about it, like, on Twitter, like, the day that MLG was supposed to make the very first announcement. Like, pros were cursing at Sundance, like, I can't believe you would do this. And it's like, he hasn't announced anything yet. So it seems like the fire's there, but I just don't understand why there's no sense of urgency.
And again, Scotty, honestly, I really do believe it's because of time. I don't think...
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, yeah, that's again, look at the demographic of your players that are not sponsored. Again, I'm not saying you don't have some sponsored players. You certainly do. Yeah. But you got your regulars, your hardcore, those amateur teams and even some of the pro teams are paying their own way still. And 6 weeks out with a very iffy future, might not spend my money. Although, you know, Scott, your rally cry is, hey, man, if it's the last one, let's come do it. Let's have one together and let's blow this shit out, which is a valid point too. Again, I think so many things put this game and this community in this situation right now, that it's kind of like a perfect storm of like sadness in a way, you know. It really is.
Whoa.
Jesus.
No. Okay.
Wow.
I mean,
Wrap it up on the Halo Council. Rename it. It's all over.
No, I mean, again, like the problem you all have with not enough sponsored teams is because for a lot of years MLG was your only playground, right? And it was a very well taken care of playground, right? Your pro teams were MLG teams. They weren't necessarily over-encouraged to go land 12 million sponsors to be self-sufficient, to build their own brands. Now the time has come where there's not necessarily any MLGs, or there's one, and even if other events pop up, how are you going to get there, right? You had half of your ecosystem built for you, right? The ecosystem of a nice tournament structure. MLG gave you guys a nice playing field to play at 6 times a year. But that's all in a big sense. And don't get me wrong, I know there's LAN events all over the place in Europe as well. But for you all, it's MLG, right? And now they have decided, for all sorts of valid business reasons on their part, that this game might not be one they can support like they used to. But you all didn't have time to build your brands. And no one had time to build leagues to help fill this gap. The fighting game community laughs at MLG and goes, we don't even need you, dude. Shut up, leave us alone, right? As weird as that sounds, they're kind of right? You guys are the opposite. You desperately need anybody, and MLG has been your home. So through this perfect storm of not being able to pair your own brands, you don't have enough players that are getting sponsored right now, right? And again, Halo 4 is coming, right? There's lots of good things. People are talking about that. So I don't think it's doom and gloom. I think it's you're going to have to wait a little while, right? I mean, I'm a Counter-Strike guy. I've been waiting quite a while for our game, right? So our game is going through the same thing. It's just going through it slower, right? We had a lot of places to play. It's slowly going away. You had one big place to go, and it's slowly, well, you're down to one. You hope it's after Columbus, right? And again, you can look at it in hindsight and say, you could have done more, you should have done more, they should have done more, but it's too late, right? You can't. So I think what you guys are doing right now is one of the coolest things you can frickin' do.
Oh,
I really think it is. Except when you talk about like dress codes between communities and who dresses better.
Yeah,
hey,
don't make. Okay, you know what? This. Oh, Jesus Christ.
We do it because we love
What is that, Tumba?
These are my Air Max right here, and these are limited edition joints to show that StarCraft kids.
The joints.
This is for Nexy right here. You see these? Since 2003, Nexy. I'm just letting you know.
Nexy, any rebuttal? I saw just in the chat that you actually wanted to speak, and I completely said screw you.
No, I think, I mean, it's fair. We deserve the kind of stuff that Scoots is saying in terms of the dress code stuff.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, that was just a joke.
No. Yeah, I mean, but I own it. You know? I'm at the point where I just own it up. But if I could rewind a little bit, I can't agree more with Scoots. There's this really fine balance with StarCraft and MLG where, you know, half of it's community-driven, the other half is decided by big leagues. You look at the fighting game community, they're not governed by big leagues at all. They're all on their own, and they're making it work. Halo, we've been sucking on the teat, dude. And now we're paying the price. So now we're at the place. In fact, I'm going to put my webcam up because I want to get all serious with it. There we go.
Okay. Riddle me this, Trey, because I'm spoon-feeding you this question completely. Don't you think, since MLG, it's like the last hoorah for Halo, it's like, come to this event or you're fucked, basically. That's, in a nutshell, what we have all gathered from it. Shouldn't they be promoting getting the team passes on the main site?
Yeah,
shouldn't they? Yeah,
but to preface that a little bit, it's not that, like, come to this event or we're fucked. Halo's just back now, right? We're at the grassroots stages. We have to go out and do word-of-mouth stuff. It's up to us to treat it like the Smash community does, where they tell their college buddies and organize stuff, where StarCraft gets the Barcrafts together. That's where Halo's at right now, where people aren't going to show up for this. And I'm trying. I mean, I hope everyone else is going out and telling their buddies, hopping on Xbox Live. I started playing Reach. I hate the game, but I'm on Reach playing and telling people to come to, you know, MLG Columbus. But MLG's not making it easy because, you know, people are coming back to me going, hey, Nexy, I went to that MLG Pro website, MajorLeagueGaming.com, and I can't find where to buy a team pass. There's no information on the site about Halo whatsoever. And yes, I understand they're trying to promote the Winter League, and obviously for financial reasons, they're promoting StarCraft. It makes a lot of sense. But go to MLG, MajorLeagueGaming.com after the show, fucking type that shit on, and tell me where you could find Halo on the front page. You can't. So it's impossible for somebody like me, unless I make my own splash page, which actually, you know, I'm going to do that. Instead of complaining, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go halocouncil.com/MLG Columbus, and you'll find all the information, because guess what? Right now, you can't find it on the MLG homepage.
And this goes back to what I was trying to say earlier. You can't feel bad if you're a Halo player out there and you couldn't make it to MLG Columbus because of finances, and honestly, you weren't able to participate in this tournament because, you know what, it's really not your fault. We understand that our demographic are people, usually under 25, usually people who are either in school or transitioning in college. And if that doesn't work out for you, then just stay home and support on the stream. But guys, I don't think this tournament is that end-all, be-all for Halo. And I don't think this is how it should be treated. It's not fair to us as a community. It's not fair to MLG. And honestly, I just don't like it. I want everybody to know that Halo's here for the long term and stop fighting every single time that we're out. We don't deserve that.
Yeah, I'm over talking about how Halo's dead. I mean, I played into it for a while,
it's the worst thing you can do. It's the worst thing you can do, really, because it's just going to convey. I mean, you guys are the pyramid of influence, right? You're going to influence other gamers and fans, and if they always hear negativity, that's obviously what's going to be. I think kind of the part that's funny to me that I don't think many people touch on is the fact that StarCraft in North America is so heavily associated with MLG. MLG's main brand was Halo. Like, without Halo, StarCraft would not have the MLG platform to play on, right? So there is this sort of relationship between the two games, even though they're so very different. One's an FPS, one's an RTS. There's a million differences, but at the same time, we wouldn't have this great playground, as Scoots put it, without Halo. So I think that it's important that all gamers, cross-platform, whatever, what have you, when a community's in trouble, I think you really need to get down and support the roots because, I mean, this is what it's all about. Gaming at a competitive level, at the highest level, in a forum, and there is no better than MLG Live, in my opinion. Like, a live event's great. So I would be deeply saddened if I saw Halo leave.
He's a StarCraft 2 caster, right? Dmaq? Tumba's a StarCraft 2 caster, right? Those words came out of his mouth, right? All right. Yeah. Just making sure. All right, Scoots. It's cool. I've accepted it. I appreciate it.
I mean, my take would be, like, you guys have to, like, get over... Like, and I like MLG. Like, I wrote up my whole history. I was going to tell you all, like, how many MLGs I've been to. I met Scott at MLG Las Vegas, Red Rocks 2006, when Carbon was kicking everyone's ass. When Karma was beating everyone in FFAs on his teammate. Like, and that's when I worked for Got Frag. Like, we covered Halo. We had a site called D-Pad. We covered all the circuit in 2007. Then we got bought by MLG, but before that, we were putting guys like Walshy on magazines. But what you guys now have to do is, like, chalk up MLG as a fantastic experience for the Halo series. But you're either going to have a competitive community that exists on its own, or you're going to be a game that's only played at MLG. So outside of whether MLG gives you any more stops after Columbus, and certainly, yes, support Columbus, try to get there, watch if you can't get there, support who does go there. Like, your future is, they are a league that is going to only throw so many events. Like, that, we look at these other games, like, you can, whether it's League of Legends, StarCraft, Counter-Strike, all the fighting games, none of them live in one place as its like life breath. Now, if MLG stopped supporting StarCraft, would that be a big dent? Absolutely, it would suck, but it wouldn't kill StarCraft 2 at all. It wouldn't. It would put a huge dent in someone's going to sneak in and fill it. So if MLG says, you know what, for all the right reasons, we loved Halo, and for all the right reasons, we can no longer love Halo, your guys' job and your community's job is to figure out who's going to be the next Halo. Like, because you can't wait for them to save you, right? You can go support them. You can go help Columbus. But if you sit here and wait for any league to be your only home, you're doing your own game a disservice, right? And I know you have some other stuff. There's other LAN events, etc. But it seemed like a lot of those in year past were like boot camps, or they were angled towards teams prepping for an MLG. Yeah. Those things now need to step out and be their own events, right? And hyped by you guys, not as a boot camp for MLG, but as this event. Build your community, like you said, back from grassroots. Let MLG throw some events for you, but, like, really drill down and figure out how you can rebuild this for Halo 4.
Yeah, and I think we do, before we go to a commercial, just to chime in and throw in a plug, if Halo does kind of fall off throughout MLG, I've been working with the guys from Hypefestation, the Gears of War tournament that's for the community, by the community, and we're trying to figure out some way with Beyond Gaming to attempt to figure out at least, like, 2 more stations in hopes to maybe get Halo out there, worst comes to worst. And, I mean, Hypefestation, we made it on the Discover app on Twitter. Yeah. That's this guy.
Yeah,
buddy.
Hold on, can I say one thing before we throw to commercial? I mean, before MLG, look, there was AGP. I was running NJ Halos in Jersey. They were doing really well. Rod's still doing them. He's doing incredible. We were landing at Dmac's house every night. There are people out there who are doers. It was just, MLG owned that shit because they do shit right, and that's why we're so upset that there's a chance we're not going to be with them. But dude, I'm confident, man. I'll tell you, the day after MLG drops it, I'll run an online tournament, and Dmaq will be hosting the LAN. And Scoots is going to send some players there. Yeah.
I hear that Evil Genius is actually going to pick up a Halo team.
We had some conversations, but it didn't really work out. So as of right now, no Halo team. But we've had some good conversations with some guys.
Commercial first.
Commercial.
Just didn't have it. Too late.
That's not how you throw to a commercial. Okay, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more further goodness.
Nah, just commercial. I liked it, Nexy. I thought it And welcome back. That was Nexy throwing it to a commercial. And, Nexy actually put in a good comment, and he actually said, Scoots, we want you to actually kind of run down your little bit of your history in esports before we get into our next topic. And that also gives us time to decide what we want to talk about in the chat. So as you begin, it's time for us three to brainstorm. So,
all right. Well, I'm old, so. Yeah. So I've been a gamer for a very, very long time. So, my very first video game was a handheld Mattel football game that moved little green dots down the field. I don't know if you guys ever played one of these, like 1970 something. But had Atari consoles and televisions, Nintendos, Super Nintendos. So, like, you're all console gamers, but I got you beat by just a few years when it comes to that. And, obviously, so always played computer games, arcades, etc. Fast forward to computers, 1999, playing a game called Half-Life, one of the greatest PC single-player games ever made. And all these mods start dropping for this game. And those that don't know what a mod is, years ago, not so much anymore, unfortunately, a lot of the game developers would let their software development kit out. So you could take their engine and make a modification, make your own little game, if you will, based on their engine. And, a game like Half-Life has, hundreds of mods on it. So this one called, and I'm playing a game called TF2 at the time, or TF at the time on Quake, a mod off the Quake engine, but playing Half-Life, and this little mod called Counter-Strike comes out. And I download it. Only multiplayer, no dragons to slay, nothing like that, just just guy. At that point, it wasn't 5-on-5, just a multiplayer demo. Coolest game ever. So sucked me right in and realized like that this game was new, but people were already playing each other in different games. Like Team Fortress had a clan series of leagues where they'd play each other, right? And I bumped into a guy playing Counter-Strike who started explaining this to me. He's like, you know, you ever been in a bowling league or a baseball league or a softball league where you play every Tuesday, you know, and you and your buddies get together? And I go, yeah, I used to do that. And he's like, just like that, but we meet on a server and we play it on a match, and they track it. I'm like, oh, totally get it, just like a sports league. But because all this time it'd been me just beating my buddies up or playing single-player games, right? Fell madly in love with Counter-Strike, madly in love with that it's a team-based FPS that has different roles, different responsibilities, if you will, different objectives, the money system, the economics of it. Just madly in love with this game. Still am. Start getting involved in a team, if you will, like a Sunday softball team. Not very good, not pro, not sponsored. And we start, again, saving our hard-earned cash to go to a LAN tournament. Drag your computers to Dallas and get your ass kicked by guys way better than you, right? And we knew we'd do that, but we wanted to go. So we literally, like you're asking your Halo brethren to, like, go for it, man. You're probably going to get your ass kicked by a pro team, but go to this event and give it a shot. We used to do that. That led me to bumping into the guys from GotFrag who had started this ESPN-like coverage site, and they were doing it like it's a sport. They were writing about roster moves and tracking stats and again, brackets, just like you know, Midway, big sports guy. He attacked Counter-Strike like it was a sport. And in watching what they were doing, I was like, wow, this is something real. This isn't just a hobby. These guys have a business. There's teams getting sponsored here. There's leagues getting sponsored. This is not just Sunday softball anymore. There's some potential here. So I joined GotFrag, start working for them. That leads me to being running their broadcast division. We start GotFrag TV, and we start streaming Counter-Strike and going to CPLs and putting on a show, right? Leads me to 2006. I and JP McDaniel, of all people, and Mark Cheban. You guys know JP probably from those you guys do, but some of the viewers might know him. He does a lot of stuff with MLG and StarCraft now. But he used to write for GotFrag, and we went to the 2006 MLG Grand Finals. We wanted to see what this Halo thing was all about and what this MLG thing was all about. And I was blown away. I walked into this room, and I had been into a lot of LAN parties and a lot of tournaments before. And, you know, the ballroom at the Red Rocks was really, as I would say, I do a lot of event logistics for a living, or I used to. And it was dressed very, very professionally. Like, it was done nice. Pipe and drape, nice uplighting. Like, a lot of the stuff you guys see now. They were doing that shit in 2006, and nobody was doing that. You walked into an ugly ballroom. But they kind of made it look good. Shit was lit up nice. The stage was nice. I met Gandhi there. We interviewed him, I think, for D-Pad, or JP did. So we covered it. And I remember calling Lee Chen from the event, and I was like, dude, I know we're a Counter-Strike site, but, like, these guys get it. This is a really nice event. It's well put together. I'm enjoying what I'm watching. At this point, you guys were 2006. The streams were totally different than they are now. But like in the room, I was watching a sporting event, right? And it was, you know, Farouk doing his thing, and I was blown away. We had just started to do this website called D-Pad, which was an offshoot of GotFrag, but it was covering console news. Like a new game comes out, you know, writing reviews. We couldn't do that on the Counter-Strike site, so we wanted to kind of spin off and start talking about consoles. Well, the offshoot of that is, well, we're doing coverage for one video game. Why don't we start doing shit for Halo? So we started covering MLG's Halo. We did that in 2006, did it in 2007. Piqued their interest. They literally end up buying us, right? Bought us, 2007. But before that, again, like I said, we were already covering. On the cover of our only copy of this magazine, Walshy. Can you see this? I don't know. Anyway. It's early 2007, by the way. Anyway.
Yeah, okay. So
it was talking about Red Bull, and that's when Gilbert Arenas was all over him, and like he was the big golden boy, right? So they end up buying us. GotFrag, as you all know, spending lots of money. That's when they were on that acquisition little purchase of a year. They bought a whole bunch of websites. We were one of them. And I became an MLG employee, which was kind of cool. They let us do our own thing. They infused us. We got more and better toys for GotFrag TV. At one point, that led to us doing the first ever PC circuit. Like the WoW, the StarCraft circuit you see now started with us doing WoW on for MLG, and I was the guy that produced the WoW circuit. Led me to meeting Nexy and all that. Prior to that, bumping into Cyanide and Puckett, they saw what we were doing with GotFrag TV, and they literally flew to my studio here in Phoenix, and they're like, hey, next year we want to do this. How do we do this? We want our live stream to look like what we post-produced for USA Network, you know, where they would show Walshy's in-game, and then you would see Walshy down here in his picture-in-picture, and you would see his graphic and all that. All that was done in post, right? And none of that stuff was being done live. So I said, come out to our studio. I have this cool toy called the TriCaster. I'll show it to you. You guys tell me if this is what you wanted to do. And they came out, spent a day. We were doing a revival broadcast of GotFrag Revival Tour is what it was called. It was a Counter-Strike tournament. Puckett and Cyanide came to my house for a good day or so. Watched it. They bought the gear. That led to me actually being on the buttons at Meadowlands 2008, the picture that Nexy posted. I was actually the guy that put together that first show of MLG's new stream tech.
And this is where I want to jump in, Scoots, and dig a little deeper.
Yep.
So
my whole idea of the rant is I just want the Halo folks to tune in. Like, I probably been to 15 MLGs for all sorts of games and watched all sorts of different games there. I've watched a shitload of Halo, watched Call of Duty. So I get a little freaked out when people think I'm the EG guy and I'm a StarCraft 2 guy, because I'm that for sure, but like I know MLG really well. I worked for him for 18 months, so
yeah, you've been a part of it the whole time. From a manager standpoint, you know, you're close with the players, or from a production standpoint, you know what's going on, and you always got both sides of it, where you got to see the competitive side and the behind the scenes. But you started to mention about how you brought out Cyanide and Puckett and kind of introduced them to the TriCaster and the capabilities such as the picture-in-picture. But you know, I kind of want to give you more credit. Toward, you know, I don't want to say inventing, but maybe like inspiring some of the stuff that you see on the broadcast today. And you said that, you know, maybe you showed them a little bit. Do you feel more like you learned from the Halo broadcast TDing it, or did you, you know, like, how do you feel about that? And I could clean that question up, because that was a sucky-ass question.
Yeah, that was terrible. You got excited. You were like, you were thinking it right in your head, and then it met your mouth, and it just came out stupid.
Yeah.
But it was good. Sorry.
Yeah, ask it again, I guess, before I.
I don't even remember.
Have you left your thumbprint on the Halo broadcast?
Considering, although you're using much fancier HD gear, I think I have. But again, I think I recreated what they used to do in post per their request, and the TriCaster allowed that. Like, I think the coolest thing I created for them, which they don't use anymore, if you remember, anyone who sat in the booth all those years ago, is there was a USB keyboard that Puckett had control of, good or bad, and all he had to do is hit a button.
Yeah.
And he could take any one of those
You created the switcher?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
But now, off of someone else's technology, the TriCaster allows you to create macros that allow you to put all these shots together. This camera, this graphic, this camera. I showed them how to do that, but I didn't create the TriCaster, right? So, and Puckett was at my house, and he's like, wait, you can program it, so if I hit the button, I take that camera, and Walshy shows up there in his name. I'm like, yeah, dude. And I think Ryan hated that we created it, because obviously the director wants to call the shots, and you got Puckett up there going, all right, let's see, what's Gandhi up to? And he's jumping all over, right? But that's when Sundance was in the booth, Puckett was in the booth, and all Farouk did was say, lock it up!
Well, I just want to say, the switcher was great until we switched over to HD, and Puckett still tried to do it, and he was like, oh, 2009 opener, I can switch to everyone. We got this HD system fucking crash.
Yeah, totally.
So you're the reason for that.
Yeah, no, I'm the reason for the standard tech, like 2008, 2009. To answer your question next, did I learn anything? Absolutely. Most of my streaming at that time was like us, right? Like self-taught, jack of all trades, roll in with your van to a CPL, dump your gear, and like go for it, right? Yeah. Very grassroots. On defense of MLG, you know, they spend a lot of money, they have a lot of money, and like they have a really rock-solid production company that they work very, very closely with. So the cool thing about it, like I didn't learn necessarily anything from Cyanide or Puckett, but like being able to sit next to guys like Dave Elliott and his like real deal produce like large-scale events for the real world as well, their production guys and the lingo and like the stuff they were doing at MLG, that was really cool. Yeah. So that I was able to take that stuff away and go, okay, this is how they're doing their show scripts. This is how they're calling their shows.
And for those of you in the chat who don't know who Dave Elliott is, he runs the overarching production team that puts on the MLG. But his crew also does stuff like the Olympics for CBS. They do mega concerts. These guys are professional through and throughout. So that was what Scoots was talking about. Learning from those guys.
He's terrifying. Don't ever piss him off, Tumba.
He is a mean dude sometimes, but he's so nice. It's kind of crazy.
But nobody knows who we're talking about.
He's terrifying. That's all you need to know.
But I want to keep talking to Scoots, dude. Like, so nowadays you're really famous for the EG work you've put in, and I think a lot of the draw to the EG stuff is the media you guys do, and it all comes out of that house, right? So we see some of the Halo players every once in a while try to put a house together. Why don't you just teach us the right way to do it? Because we fucking suck at putting Halo houses together.
hasn't even figured. StarCraft hasn't figured that out yet. Like,
I gotta.
Korea's got that down.
I gotta echo Tumba on this one. Like, I mean, we're going for it. It's an experiment for us. Like, is it the right way? Is it the wrong way? I mean, we're doing things better than we were doing even 3 months ago in the house, I think. And I don't. I mean, we are trying to emulate the Korean StarCraft 2 training house model. That doesn't mean that it works for fighting game guys or for League of Legends guys or for Halo guys, right? No one, again, like the whole mystery of why it works so well in Korea, you have to give credit to a culture. And it's a different work ethic. It's a different us versus me versus the collective mentality in Korea and a lot of Asian countries than it is in the Western world, right? Not to say that we're all me. I just think that they're a lot more willing to be disciplined and structured maybe than Western young men and women might be, right? Mm-hmm. It's a cultural difference. So I mean, again, we last year we started talking about this. When we decided to get into StarCraft 2, we kept looking at this foreigner versus Korea debate, and like you can't make foreigners Korean. You can only try to emulate. And if you can either put them all in Korea and just go, okay, let's hope for the best, or you can try to do a little bit of both. And we decided, look, we're not putting all our players in Korea full time. We want them there. We got guys there right now. What can we do to facilitate several different things? One, give a roof to our players' heads, which makes a player feel warm and fuzzy. You're taking care of them, right? That is my job, to make players only have to worry about playing whenever possible. So that serves that goal. I'm giving them a home, right? And it's a nice home. Yeah. And a training facility, sure, where they do their work. And you hope out of that camaraderie and that structure, they just slowly become better gamers, and then you start practice sessions and all sorts of different stuff.
See, that's the thing, though. How much of it is actually training and getting better versus creating media and content? Because if I did a Halo house, it'd be all about content. I don't give a shit how good you are. It's about getting views.
It's got to be both. It's got to be both, because if I had and you see, we do content, and in 2012 we'll be doing a lot more content out of the house. I mean, the reason the house, Dre, is in Phoenix, Arizona, is it's 10 minutes away from my studio. So when you see all those EG tips and tricks where they're sitting down, they're doing replay reviews, and they're brought to you by our different sponsors, those are filmed on my gear here. When we do EG Masters Cups, then Wheat comes in here. Those are filmed here. So the house is here to get the players closer to this content center. And again, come 2012, you're going to see even more of that. But at the end of the day, you could have all the great content in the world, but if your players aren't even being remotely competitive, because again, StarCraft is a hard game. Like, we're going to lose way more than we win. We just are, right? It's just, there's lots of good players. Forget the Koreans for a second. There's lots of fantastic foreigners. No. So you have to train, and you have to make content around those players. It kind of goes hand in hand. Just a content house, I don't think it's going to work. That what sells the content is the ability of the players to be viewed as pros and be really good at the game, right?
Yeah.
Now, I certainly have EG, a breadth of levels of player, if you will, from the Code A's to the Code S's, etc. So within that, you try to grab content out of all the different guys, from the in controls to the Hucks. But again, it's got to be, for us, it's first and foremost a training facility, a home, and it's just cool that we can pull content out of it,
all right,
I guess.
To bring it back to Halo, which Halo players would you put in a Halo house? 4 of them. To create content.
No. For your ideal house.
Following however model you would see.
Yeah, Trey, you got to stop this content nonsense.
I want to learn, man. I'm going to steal his idea, bro.
You got to balance it, though, because content is the human element that's going to draw people in and say, oh, I want to be a Halo professional gamer. A 12-year-old kid sitting there playing Halo going, man, you mean these kids play this for a living? I want to see what it's about. And when you show that story, I remember the story they did on MTV with help me out.
T2.
We don't say his name.
Okay, well, we don't say his name on the show. But I remember that. I remember so much of that because I remember at the time thinking, this is wild. Like, this kid's trying to make it, and he did. You know what I mean? And so, to me, I think, well, to an extent, you know, I think the content, though, there has to be a balance. And like Scoot said, nobody wants to see content from a team that's not doing well necessarily. So, balance is important, though, but I don't think it's fair, Gandhi, just to say forget content like it's going to, you know, practice, because, to be honest, in esports, there's very few that are qualified to do the jobs they're doing, to be honest, to take this to the next level.
Yeah.
You got your Scoots, you got these rare guys that do it so good, so well,
like
because they've been in esports for so long. Yeah, your Nexys, you know, the Scoots, because they've been in there so long.
I'm up there with
no, not by any stretch.
I can say I'm not.
I say
no.
Top 3 in my books, my friend.
No. But what my point is, you know, it's a delicate situation, and things can go very, very bad. You know, we saw IGN get involved with Team Rain. They thought there was going to be great content. Everybody had high hopes, and then the team debunked. And IGN, you know, it's a pretty big player in the game, so it's easy for these things to fall apart. And I don't think the Halo community can afford right now to have something like that fail. I think it needs to be. I think it's needed, though. I mean, I would have to say anything that gets the community excited about Halo again is really what has to happen, and brings new players into Halo. And I think that content's going to help that.
Well, and we did a poll on our new little temporary website, and we asked when we opened the lair, like, what kind of content do you want to see more of? And one of the choices was behind the scenes, you know, and like we were doing like Machine Likes to Eat, also like do food challenges, more replay over casts, more player POVs, and you know, all those different things. Overwhelmingly, people did want to see the behind the scenes. They watch Idra play enough matches. They can watch him play on his own stream. They can watch him at tournaments. They can't get him sitting around the dinner table chit-and-chat with his buddies, and that's what the fans want to see. Yeah. So your content, you're not off on it, Nexy. It's a natural progression to having players in a house that fans care about, right? They want to see Greg playing with his silly cat or Jeff playing with his bulldog, right? But that can't be the reason, right? And if you don't have the players of note skill-wise, they're not going to have the fan base to bring you the views to watch the silly dog videos anyway, right?
Did it my
and that
way?
was kind of,
no,
and that was Rain's problem. Like, as IGN literally said, the views on the content you created were disappointing to us. Well, Rain is not full of, like, A-listers yet. You got to have that house going. You got to get results. You got to build. And I think IGN wanted numbers on that content far quicker than they should have expected.
It was unrealistic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unrealistic expectations. And I think, again, that goes back to Halo, where if you guys are starting over, you can't have unrealistic expectations. X amount of weeks before Columbus to sell passes, 200 may be it's an unrealistic expectation more than likely. I mean, if you look at airfare, the price of airfare, you know, it's not cheap. So also with starting over from grassroots, you got to have, you know, realistic expectations.
Yep. To answer your question, who would I put in the house if I could? I would put your stars in the house. Yeah. Because, again, we go back to the problem you guys have had with building your own brands. Part of building EG is I'm building EG behind after I build Huck, after I build Idra, after I build In Control. You know them, then you get to EG, right? The fact that you all haven't been able to build the Instincts and the Final Bosses and the Carbids and the Straight Rippins as truly independent brands, you're lacking that real fan base. The fan base is, I'm not going to call them fake, but they're kind of, because the teams weren't real. They were cookie cutter MLG teams. Look at how close all our shirts look, right? And it's a shame, but nothing you can do about it. It's the history. So you need to, if you were going to put someone in a house, you asked me if I would put the God Squad in a house. They have the biggest star power. They seem to carry themselves, and again, no one's a perfect angel, but they seem to carry themselves that slightly elevated. Ego's the wrong word.
Like motherfucking champions, dude.
Yeah, and that's who you want people to, you know, like I'm a very much a Charles Barkley guy, right? I'm not here to be anyone's role model. That's your parents' job. Like, don't look to me to solve your life's issues. So I don't look, like when I say someone's a pro gamer or not a pro gamer, it has literally nothing to do with how they act and everything to do with how much money they make. So those guys, though, do seem to carry themselves in a more upstanding professional way than a lot of gamers, period. Not doesn't mean they're getting their rows and they're getting battles on game battle, but like that's like your poster children, right? So those would be the guys that you would put in the house because that's who people are going to watch.
That's the only thing that makes sense. Or else you have a WCG Ultimate Gamer then. So I get it.
Hey, you should not disgrace that show.
It was hard
and again,
to
I'm
watch.
not saying you have other. You have like a plethora of pros, right? That team, like all last year, they were the team to beat. They did lose a few times, granted, but like they're all still together. They had no roster issues this last little off season, right? So, and shit, they're with Eon. Eon's with Astro. Shit, maybe they could even financially do it. Because again, it's a double-edged sword, Nexy. Putting them in a house and being able to properly afford to put them in a house, two very different equations. Yeah. Very different equations.
Oh, for sure.
Well, let me ask you this, starting with Tumba first because he is an SC2 fangirl. With that said, now with Halo, you know,
you're an SC2 fangirl too, by the way.
I voted for him because I thought they should have gone over Halo. That's a fact. I will not deny that. Back to what I was saying, though. Now, being a fan of the game and of the players individually and of the teams. Now, with Halo, we have teams that break up, and this is a common topic that's on Halo MLG Pro and the Halo Council already. Do you think the team switching all the times impacts the fan base, where it becomes a cookie-cutter name, as Scoots said?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think if it happens too often, because then there's why am I going to bother getting emotionally attached as a fan to a team or a player if it's going to bounce around and be in a state of limbo? Like, I love EG because I love In Control. If In Control goes to another team tomorrow, I'm still going to like In Control, but there's a host of other kids at EG, so I'm probably still going to love EG as well. But use Scoots' team as an example, and that's true. That's how I feel about it. But, I mean, yeah, cookie cutter is bad, no matter how you cut it. It's got to have, each team has to have its own identity. It has to have its own reason to like or dislike. Because let's face it, haters and trolls, they fuel airways in every single genre of entertainment. A lot of people don't like Rush Limbaugh, but millions of liberals listen to him even though they have opposite viewpoints. So, that's the kind of thing that I think needs to be developed also with the community's individuality, and teams need to be individualized and sustain. If they don't sustain, why am I going to buy into it?
Scoots?
I think it goes both ways. I think if you parallel us to traditional team sports, whether it's Counter-Strike or even Halo, people are Green Bay Packers fans or they're Brett Favre fans maybe, and they hate, you know what I mean? So depending on what sport you like, you might follow a team and win or lose, hell or high water, whoever comes and goes, you're still a fan of that team, or you might be a fan of an athlete and you'll follow his career. So we get some of that. I think that happens in real sports. It's a little more defined as to when trades are and off seasons and all that. You don't get a lot of jumping ship mid-season, obviously, and kids quitting and all that. But that's going to happen. Is a little bit more stability good to build the team dynamic? I think that's more important than anything else. You're only going to get better if you keep playing together. And if you keep swapping people out, you might not find that magic fit, right? Because you're not giving it enough time. So I look at it more of a management guy who goes, wait a minute, why are you making roster changes so soon? Are you sure? Then I look at it like a fan being confused. But again, it goes both ways. We get people like Huck is a prime example, right? We recruited Huck from Team Liquid, and we got people absolutely loving us because they were EG fans, and now they had this new guy to cheer for, and he's good, right? We had Team Liquid fans who absolutely now hated our guts because we took their player, right? And we had Huck fans who some were like, all right, better deal for Huck maybe, yay Huck, or oh, okay, I'm going to cheer for Huck because I'm a fan of his, but I really like Jinro too, so now I'm going to cheer for two teams. So it really goes, it runs the gamut. I just think stability is good to build a product and build brands. I don't think your team jumping is going to negatively kill you, though. That's not a deal breaker.
D?
No, I agree with Scoots actually completely on this one, which is kind of surprising because I don't like Scoots' root points or anything that he does. So, No, but seriously, he does make some good points. Team changing is not a big deal. I think we see it all the time. Look, some players, some people are going to be fans of players. Some people are going to be fans of teams. Me, when I watch basketball, I'm fans of a player. When I watch football, I'm fans of the Miami Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? And that's just kind of how I approach basketball and football. People in basketball, my cousin, he's a hardcore Nets fan. He don't care who's on the Nets at the time. He's going to support the Nets no matter what. Once you're off the Nets, he don't give a fuck about you. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on what type of fan you're on.
Yep.
But Dmaq, can you compare a basketball organization to a Halo team? Because the sort of the feel I'm getting out of this is that the Halo teams are more or less like the word that's been thrown around is cookie cutter, so they're not as solidly established as an NBA team.
What he said.
I think you can now, because look at with the Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers or any low market team, they're losing all these big time players all the time. So it's kind of more similar than football, I would say. If you could compare two sports, it would be the NBA to Halo, if that made sense. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
I'm just saying. So there are entrenched teams in Halo that are like fans are going to be fans no matter what if they lose this or that player. It's to that point. It's that established. So I mean, that's a positive. That's a really good thing, right?
Yeah.
So now it's just about, I think, expanding on that.
I think it's unfair to compare it to a professional sport. I think it's completely unfair because their name's already made, so you already have your diehard fans. If anything, we should be comparing it to the movie Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell, and we're the tropics, and we have no fan base, but we're trying to make it, so we're competing for the
We're shooting you out of the cannon at halftime.
Yeah, you wrestling a bear? Are you wrestling a bear?
We're trading my laundromat for Ogre 2 to come here.
It was a washing machine.
Whatever. Okay, that's how I feel. Like, you have to at least have some kind of ground before you can even think about comparing it to a professional sport. And that, I think, is a problem. I agree 100% with Tumba. I think a little more stability would not be bad. I mean, look at Status Quo alone got Red Bull just because they stuck together for so long. And on top of that, now we're seeing the God Squad who have been together since the second event of the 2011 season, and now they are on Eon, and they also acquired Astro Gaming.
There you go, because it's equitable for an investor to say, listen, I can put money behind this because they're consistent. What does an investor look for? They look for consistency. At the end of the day, it's a business. Teams are rebranding, they're essentially middlemen for these guys. You play the game, we'll get the sponsors, yada yada, and the sponsors want consistency.
When I think about my favorite Halo teams of all time, I think of Carbon 2006. I think about Final Boss. And those are the teams where I got to where Scoots said, like, I pick a player and then I pick the team. Like, almost the players come first. And and I can't think of a team that switched a lot. Like, I started to like Straight Rippin' in like 07, 08, and they were switching players around. And I couldn't like them as much as I liked a team like Carbon where they made one team change and stuck with it. Or Final Boss where they dominated for 3 years or whatever. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that.
But Dre, you couldn't. But there were people that could. There were people out there.
There's always going to be exceptions.
But I'm a bad demographic because I can't pick a football team if they have ugly colors. Like, I'm a horrible person to be judging.
Are you a female?
I'm just telling the truth. You know, I mean, that's just, and I'm sure there's other people like me. If I feel that way, I know hundreds of other people feel that way. So, yeah, I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, well, I don't really know how to bounce back from that one.
And that's why I like the Niners, baby. They red and gold and look so pretty and shimmery on the field, bro. No, I'm kidding.
You like the Niners? Actually, this is kind of bullshit. You do not like the Niners.
I don't know what team.
All of a sudden, you move out to San Francisco. They do well. And you're a Niners fan.
I was a Falcons fan for years.
Hence why you also liked Carbon and Final Boss and Straight Rippin' when they won the national championship.
Imagine that. Wow.
Bandwagon. It's been called out. Bandwagon, son.
He also lived in New York, so when the Bruins won the Stanley Cup last year, he was like close to it, so it justified being a fan.
Come on.
Who the hell are the Bruins?
Nobody watches the Stanley Cup.
All right. We're going to go to a commercial break. We'll be back, so stay tuned.
wanted to bring us back in. This is Nexy, because we forgot. We're all assholes for forgetting this. Best Man? Are you guys wondering why Best Man's not on the show?
I mentioned it. He's sick.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to tell you when he died,
oh, yeah,
dude.
but we will address this. Best Man, I think there's some bad blood between you and Scoots. You unfollowed him on Twitter.
Yeah, what's that all about, man?
He's in the chat.
Are you going to expect him to talk back?
Yeah, I don't know.
In the chat. I'm waiting.
Respond through Twitter.
That was good.
I can't figure out why your community's having a hard time getting off the ground. I really can't at this point. I don't know.
Man.
Best Man, respond to that through the
He
Skype call
blamed
you're
it
not
on
in.
some sort of glitch, I think, Gandhi.
He
Whatever.
says,
I see how it is. Whatever, man.
oh, explicitly.
I'm trying to help, Best Man. That's all I know, man. I know you're really good friends with that one guy that we won't mention.
Hey, actually,
Which
can we-
guy? There's
quickly-
two guys now.
Hey, all right. So Halo Council started, and it kind of started with us doing whatever we wanted to do and talking shit sometimes, and
The garbage around us. Makes sense.
to the garbage around us, or to the beautiful roses around us, and calling it garbage. Whatever it was. But I think it was all in fun. At the end of the day, we know that StarCraft 2 is ideally where we want to be as far as console first-person shooters. I think that's a fact. We wish we were at the level that StarCraft 2 is for RTSs right now. But I was also surprised at some of the back-and-forth beef that happens between Halo players and StarCraft players. Do you think there's a legit beef? Because I know from my end, I love StarCraft 2, and I love everything that they do on that side.
Well,
And I can't wait to go party with them at Columbus and see them all throughout the year. But is there an actual beef?
I don't think so, Dmaq. I don't think it's a StarCraft Halo thing. I think it's I love this game, and I'm not necessarily going to have an open mind about that other game, whatever it happens to be. Because again, like long before this debate, like the Counter-Strikers did it with the Quakers, and the Warcraft 3ers do it with the StarCrafters. So it's like you're either going to accept, like some of us do, that there's lots of different games out there, and there's a skill ceiling to them, and people are playing and competing at them for money or whatever. And it might not be the game you like, but cool, someone's good at it, and they're doing something with it. Or and you're going to let it go. Like again, I look at it like sports. There's some sports I like to watch, and there's some sports I don't. But I don't necessarily run around like bashing baseball. I just don't watch baseball, right? But we're on the internet. We're all behind keyboards. It's really easy to give your opinion because everybody wants to hear it on the internet. I give mine. I'm the first to admit it. I like fucking people up. So I don't think there's anything between Halo and StarCraft 2. I mean, I think you would see it anywhere else. Like StarCrafters look at some League of Legends guys and go, that game's silly. And some League of Legends guys go, no, your game's silly. So I think at the end of the day, you're going to have haters and lovers, but I don't think there's a beef. There's no, like, gang warfare happening between these two. If anything, if I was a Halo guy, right, if I was a guy that was an MLG hardcore guy, right, and I saw the shift, because the shift happened, right? You can't deny the shift happened.
Yeah. It was one day we had nice projectors. We were in the middle, and then the next, our projectors got cut by like a third, and we were tucked away in the corner. It was awesome.
So would I be rightfully like, what the fuck just happened? Would I be would I be a little mad at like StarCraft 2 because whoa, this house we built, man, get out. Yeah, I get that. It'd be no different if Halo started taking over a StarCraft 2 league. You'd get some guys going, whoa, what is this shit? Whether you like the game or not. And I think you probably get some elitist StarCraft guys that look at all the numbers of all the streams, and guys get paid all around the world, and it's been a pro game in Korea, and it's on TV, and they go, Halo? Whatever. But I get there would be no MLG without Halo. It is a scene. It has really good players. It's had several different games, some better than others, right? So I don't get the hate. I mean, I get the hate, but I don't think it's a feud, Dmaq. I think it's just silly guys. Like
I'm actually shocked it isn't more prevalent because as a StarCraft 2 guy, if it came in, like that, and all of a sudden StarCraft 2 was cut, I'd be like, whoa, reasons, give me reasons. Why? What just happened? Who is this? What console game? What PC game? I don't care what platform it's on. Like it's like skiing and snowboarding. We're all on the same mountain, but those two are like cats and dogs, right? So I don't even think it's to that extent. I think that I'm actually shocked that it wasn't more prevalent. I think the Halo community kind of took it on the chin, and it got downsized, but it was what it was. Like, you see everybody together at an MLG event. It's not like fights are breaking out. It's not even like a second, you know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, think about the Olympics for a second, right? Like, if we want to put our, like, perfect world hats on. Like, you go to the Olympics, right? Like, the guys that are competing in weightlifting over here aren't, like, bad-mouthing the people that are gymnasts over there, right? They're just not – they're either interested or they're not, right? Like, you go do your thing, I'm going to do my thing. We don't need to love and kumbaya, and, like, I'm not buying a Halo team pass for you all, but, like, doesn't mean you have to actively hate. Like, we have enough games that are truly not esports that we probably could all collectively hate on that get love, but Halo's not necessarily one of them, right, in my mind.
Well, let me ask you two goons this question. Is console gaming looked down upon through PC gaming? Because it's a question that I have to ask because I've always heard the debate.
Me being the younger of the two old people on the show, let me just say, I grew up on console and PC, and I was so mad at my older brother, more Scoots age, but I was so mad at him because I'd be like, man, controllers are where it's at. Mouse and keyboard, forget it. And I came up on TSR, on Dungeons & Dragons. My first computer was a VIC-20 with a data cassette. Like, I'm old school, right? So, but consoles to me were like, ready, set, game. I don't have to worry about a 50-man raid. Ready, set, go. And I'm killing people. You know what I mean? So I don't think me personally as a gamer, I have never looked down on console gaming because I came from console. I play both. Like, for me anyway.
Well, all right, real quick. To what you were saying before, Tumba, why we aren't mad, I think it's because we might be angry, but we're not delusional. We understand that StarCraft 2 is a way bigger game and that it means a lot for Major League Gaming. And it really could help put MLG way over the top, what they've been looking for from the very get. However, we do feel a certain way. I think as a Halo community, sometimes some Halo players do feel a certain way, like, oh man, it just kind of sucks. And I think it's just going to take some time for the Halo players to kind of heal and the StarCraft players to kind of settle in where they are in MLG for it to be friendlier. But I think personally that StarCraft 2 and Halo community could really coexist and benefit from each other, if not be really good friends.
You know, I'm just tired of being disrespected and treated like I cast for the WNBA. All right?
Please. I actually want to hear Scoots, though, on do you think, because my brother is a bit of an elitist when it comes to PC versus console. Yeah, he's a bit of elitist. He's like, your console, because he's always like, it's garbage, quit playing that, you know, whatever. What are your thoughts on that? Now that I've taken over the Halo council evidently, but Scoots, and then I'll get back to you, Dmaq.
What do you think? Question, Tumba.
Hey,
like, you're just joining us. This is the Scoots and Tumba Halo Council. Right. We got guests. We got Gandhi, Dmaq, I think.
Because you have the mic, I'll bring mine out.
You guys elitist.
I think you certainly have a huge portion that think that driving with a mouse and keyboard is far more accurate and far more precise and therefore takes more skill than doing the same thing with two thumbsticks. I don't know if that is true or not because they're different, right? It's not the same thing. Is it maybe easier to aim with a mouse because I have that precision and it's not as loose and hard to not overcorrect and all those things? I don't know. I spent a lot of time watching. Again, I watched all of MLG Meadowlands. I watched every single match on that main stage. That was probably the most I've ever watched in one sitting. Next to you, Nexy, and all those guys, and screaming and yelling and watching Oddball and all that shit. Oddball, right? Oddball? What's it called?
Yes.
I can't remember what it's called. And that, I mean, you could see there is a skill there. When they snipe, when they do shit, they're not like me where I'm going, whoa, where's the guy? Whoa. I mean, they're they're precise like Fraud and the boys are precise when they flip their off. Is that the same skill to get that good? I don't know, right? And there's this huge talk about the one time we all got to try it. We all know how that kind of turned out. Little game called Shadowrun came out, and we were all able to play together. And then they had to nerf the mouse and keyboard to make it feel like mud, because console people were not happy. So, and I could tell when I was shooting against a guy on sticks and a guy with a mouse and keyboard. It's just a different movement pattern. But I don't want to. Again, it's the same reason I don't want to debate, like, is it a skillful thing to play League of Legends versus StarCraft versus Counter-Strike versus Halo? Like, it's kind of subjective. There's some sports out there that I go, really? Okay. But if there's an audience, if there's a fan base, if there's a competitive skill level to it, one thing that is for real is a guy playing Halo like Walshy or Ogre 2 or Pistola and me on my couch are night and day. And that's what you need. I can't get as good as Pistola quickly, and I shouldn't be able to, right? That needs to be some sort of God-given difference, whatever the platform is. And your game has that, right? So, like, I don't know. I play them both. I'm terrible at console FPS. I just am. But I'm not going to give the PC answer because I think it's a skill thing, you know, and they're all skillful.
You know, I will say that I think PC takes more skill, but at the end of the day, who cares?
Exactly. That's my point. Yeah. I mean,
you know,
soccer's harder to play than fucking race car driving. You drive a car around. I'm not running it off.
Who gives a fuck?
Hey,
right? So
don't you badmouth NASCAR. Right?
Oh, sorry.
America.
Hey.
Everybody has their own experiences in life, and everybody walks away with their own opinion. You know, that's the way it works. But the thing is, when we're seeing something like esports, it's something that needs growth. It's not a thing that's definitely solidified to be here 30, 40 years down the line.
Nope.
And so with that being said, motherfuckers got to come together and really help each other out. Otherwise, you're not going to be around in 20, 30 years, and that will suck.
But that's that altruistic pitch that's not going to work. You're not going to get a guy who doesn't care about Halo to magically care because it's going to help your community. That is not going to happen. I mean, like we're fighting this debate with Sundance about helping support a game we love because if we don't, he might go out of business, right? So if you have a StarCraft 2 community that's calling bullshit on that, they're going to look at you and go, what? Why? Yeah. I'm not even watching your shit, let alone support it. Again, some sports fans watch all different sports, some do not. So you don't worry about us coming together for you, bro, until you come together. That would be the first thing I say is you all need to come together before you worry about me helping you, and me as in the collective non-Halo hardcore. I'll do my best not to shit on you, but don't expect me to, like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like that's you guys at the point where you need no one else to help you but yourselves, like, because no one else is going to help you at this point. Your dad and mom have divorced, and dad doesn't want custody of you, and maybe he does half of the weekends, right? Like, it's put up or shut up time for your community to see how big you really are.
We're getting deep.
Like how big? No, this is a good test. How big is the world that MLG built for you? What is your fan base? Because they built it. Now you guys need to take it over and own it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's where the artificial growth is dissipated. There is no more artificial. Now it's time to stand your own. But you know what, Dmaq? I don't think it's unrealistic. Again, realistic expectations. I think it's unrealistic to have a StarCraft viewer say, I'm going to go watch Halo. But I don't think it's unrealistic for your show to invite me on, which thank you very much for doing so, because I am a fan of esports in general. I think people that are in the scene should be more into this and cross-going on each other's shows. I mean, I've had Gandhi on my show as well because I think that there is a general interest about esports, but it's not to the point where, okay, I'm going to go watch a Halo stream, but I would like to hear a Halo's player's perspective on the whole thing. I mean, got a ton of downloads, one of our most ever, and a lot of positive response. And having said that, I think that, like, I tuned into Golden Boy's stream the other day. I was supposed to be studying for Winter Arena, so I got a flight at 5 a.m., so when I screw that up, it's Halo's fault. I can always reach back and, pull that one out. But I was watching that stream, and he was, like, breaking it down basic, which I love because, okay, I don't really understand what's going on here, but I want to know. You know what I mean? And that might not even be from a somebody inside. Like a lot of people, I think it was DreamHack. I want to say that what FPS they put Quake up. They put the Quake finals before the SE2 finals, and the way they broke it down was really simple in commentating. So I think there can be some crossover appeal. It's like Scoot said, some people like baseball, some people don't like baseball. They'd rather watch their football. But I still think esports as a genre is new enough and free enough that you can get some interest between both games.
All right, so what is the baseball of esports? And I'm saying that because I hate baseball. I'm just
Okay, so baseball is what? It's slow, right?
Slow, boring.
So you can't.
Hero.
Guitar Hero?
But see, your baseball is my bat. You know, like my hockey. I don't know. Like so, Han.
Okay.
I don't know.
Tumba?
Han might be a good pick, actually, but everybody agrees with Scoot, so fuck that.
Shit.
All right.
No, dude, I gotta say, yeah, like Dota, man. Dota's gotta be...
Get out of here with that. Dota pumps. I love Novas, man.
Wait,
Okay.
I didn't get the question. Fuck.
Okay, what is the baseball of esports?
What is the what? The base...
The shittiest game, basically.
Oh, what's the shittiest game?
The tough one.
I'd say laugh out loud, League of Legends.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
I'm such a hater.
You're wrong.
I'm going to restart my camera, Scott. Is that cool with you guys?
What'd you say?
Go for it.
I'm going to restart my web camera. That's going to
Well, that's two of us. Me and you, Dmaq. Me and you, buddy. And by the way, League of Legends community, I love you guys. I'm not hating on you. Don't start a Reddit post.
Like,
but somebody's got to be the baseball.
No one from Reddit watches the show. You're fine. You can say whatever you want, and you don't get trolled. It's fantastic.
I seen the dude with the hat, with the court jester. I think he's a really nice guy. I was like pre-screening them for an interview once or whatever. They're cool. You know, I have nothing against League of Legends. I'm just totally not into that kind of game at all. Which, again, I'm not hating on League of Legends at all. Yo, it's just not for me. You know what I'm saying? And Scotty, that's the kind of question you just asked. I think that question needs to go away.
I was just asking a very subjective question.
I think it's a dickhead question.
I don't think there was any need to justify anything.
Man, I disagree now. I'm going to disagree with Dmaq because I think there needs to be candidness in esports, right? You need to be real because people are sick, whether it's politics or even ESPN to an extent being, correct about how they go over a game. Like, no, let's just be real about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be real. When the quarterback put his wife to shut up.
Look, I dress better than you. I said that already.
Shorts,
you know what I'm saying? It's something that...
This is getting retarded.
Yeah, no, this sucks. This completely sucks. I'll go ahead and say that in 2011, Reach was by far the worst game to watch on the circuit. And I casted the shit. Now, moving on. We can all agree to that. Community questions, Dre. You got something to fire up and throw at our head?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
If you guys want to submit your community questions, go ahead and tweet me at NexyMLG.
Plug.
So I'm gonna just read it off. I'd like to start from I don't know. You can direct it any way you want, Scott. Chase Joshua wants to know if he was starting his own tournament or league, how does he get support?
Tumba. I think that's a great question for you to start this off.
Okay, can you ask it one more time so I don't screw it up since it's that great?
Sure. Chase Joshua, a.k.a. Chaos, wants to know if he was starting his own tournament, ground level, right?
Oh.
How does he get support? How does he do it right?
Okay. Oh, this is good for me because actually I ran my own poker tournaments, grassroots, for a long time and grew that into a successful business. So the way I did it was literally at the grassroots level. Like you have to, it's easier now, man. Make a website, get out, get community involvement, go to your local GameStop or whatever, any store you think will support you. They're probably going to say no, but go anyway. And if you can find a kid there that's going to help you, then that's one step closer. But any type of social media, you just got to, the biggest thing I would say is just don't give up and be very, very tenacious with it. And it'll come. Your first tournament might not be, what you expect it to be, but your second and third will get there. I promise you that.
Gotcha. I actually have another question to just throw right back at you because it's one that I think actually will help. Now, you have grown from nothing in StarCraft 2, and now you're casting for the MLG Winter Arena. What advice would you give to an aspiring caster out there? Because quite frankly, I couldn't give that advice for anyone because I was pretty much handed the job. So how do you...
aspiring to make content, either one.
Well, I mean, I had an enormous team behind me at STEM TV, and it was all grassroots. Like, I don't want to seem like I didn't pay my dues. I paid my dues. Like, we ran 30 straight consecutive, 40 straight consecutive weeks of games, Monday through Thursday. Bronze League, and we casted all the bronze games. Silver, all the leagues. For those of you unfamiliar, there's different leagues in StarCraft, bronze being the low end and, Grandmasters being the high end. We grew those into show matches, but I mean, you have to be, the number one thing above all is dedication, and don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do it, because it's got to be dedication. I mean, I casted from a family vacation out of a bathroom at a house we rented for Disney. And it was for a Gold League tournament, but I wasn't going to miss it. Like, that's it. You got it while pooping. Yeah, while pooping. Back. No, but you got to be dedicated above all. I mean, dedicated, and make sure you got good people around you, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Nobody should tell you can't do it. And I always said, man, it's not up to MLG. It's not up to MLG whether I cast or not. It's not. It's my decision. If I want to cast for MLG, I'll cast for MLG. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
Fantastic. Well, Dre, next question.
All right. With the game types being released on 2/28, do you expect Team Pass sales to spike that day, says X Brutality?
I personally will say no. I think, if anything, it's a hindrance. It's kind of like, oh, hey, by the way, now you have less weeks to decide if you want it. Do you want to come and play these game types? Oh, shit, look, we added Beaver Creek. Everyone liked this map. No, it makes no difference. Teams are either going to want to go now or they're not.
Here's my thing.
Good.
I don't think anyone should feel, again, I'm going to say it again, don't feel disappointed because you weren't able to get out to Columbus. And if we don't reach the goal of 180, look, being told 6 weeks beforehand that there's a tournament in Columbus, to an extent, is unreasonable. If you can go, that's fucking awesome. But if you can't, it's not the end all for Halo. We're still going to survive. It's still going to be all good. I think people should stop focusing on the number so much and just focus on, hey, if you don't go, just make sure you're on the stream watching. Maybe open up 2 computers. So now you got 2 viewers. Either way, just help support the game one way or another.
I think we should applaud that we even have 60-something passes sold, because unless you're following MLG or one of their staff members on Twitter, you don't know that MLG is running a Halo tournament. And granted, that may change. In a couple days, they might refresh their website. But unless you're fucking following Lies or Sundance or Clap, you do not know Halo's going to be there. So this is how we're going to succeed. You're going to drive your friends there. You're going to say, get in my car, we're going. You're going to force people to go there. And you've been doing a great job so far. So yeah, don't mind the number, and applaud that we've got 60 passes sold, and I'm proud of you guys.
Are you guys going?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll be there.
Dmac's playing.
Dmac
sucks at Halo.
Dmac's working.
And he's playing. Oh, you're working?
No. He said, you know what? I really do suck at this game. I've never actually been talented in any first-person shooter. And he's actually going to be running the big booth.
Okay.
Yeah, Raylan reached
out. He's going to wear a shirt.
MC.
You should do a show from one of your hotel rooms, like Friday night from Columbus.
Why are you just smarter than us?
I like that.
Like I just don't understand. Like
Scoots is gonna save Halo.
Can we just have
true.
Can we just have a correspondence like every week for you to give me ideas?
That'd be my pleasure, buddy.
He would save Halo.
Yeah.
All right, so next question, and this one's, you don't have to answer this, Scoots. This is, I'm tossing you a slow pitch.
All right, I'm ready.
Will Boss Nasty's Team House, which doesn't exist anymore, ever get on EG's level?
Wait, I thought he was still doing it. Is he not doing it now?
I just assumed.
Oh, you haven't heard? I know.
I heard. Well, no. The last I heard was that Nated had moved on. That he was still going to do the house, but maybe a different game, and maybe not.
I think you're updated on the news. Yeah.
Okay. Again, I don't know this kid from Adam, I've given him some shit on Twitter. He's decided that I should prove it. I don't want to prove it, so I'm not going to prove it. I don't know. Again, like, as I said to him when I saw his first video where he was evolutionizing the revolution of the evolution of the birth of the rebirth of the like I've heard these fucking marketing terms for 15 years from gamers. I'm going to revolutionize the website model. I'm going to evolutionize coverage. I'm going to revitalize the evolution of the evolution of leagues. Like, shut the fuck up and do it. Right? Like, do it. Quit talking about it and go do it. Whether that's Boss Nass or anybody else. So, like, maybe he does it. Maybe he's a great coach. Maybe he can help those guys become better Halo players. But all he's doing right now is doing this. And, you know, like, you could say I talk a lot, but I got a resume about 10 years deep of doing shit. Good, bad, and different, but I've been here, right? And so I jump on people who, like, tell me they're going to revolutionize shit, but all they're doing is talking about it, right? And that's why I'm saying to you guys, like, okay, MLG might be your last hurrah. Go collectively get your shit together and do something. Don't talk about it. Don't think it'd be cool if somebody else did it. Figure out how to do it. And I say you as in, not just you three, but, like,
that's cool.
You all. So, like, I don't want him to fail. Like, you, the best part about it is, like, everyone in your community, like, every time I tweet him, they go, dude, don't even think he's us. You know, so at least I'm not, like, having a fundamental argument with someone who does represent you in your guys' minds, right? Which makes me feel much better about your community. But, like, maybe he can pull it off. But, again, put unknown players of not the hugest game in the world right now in an expensive house in California. Hope you're going to make a lot of money on streaming. Hope you're going to make a lot of money on content, and maybe not have a lot of places to even go play. Good luck with the ROI to your sponsors, right?
Okay.
I mean, good
well,
luck.
You clearly didn't hear the specifics, okay? Let me tell you the specifics, all right? 14
Can we move on to another question?
hours a day. Now, I know you took notes, and this is exactly what you have revamped with the EG house. With lessons to be learned in every hour. Now that, and according to the math, you have 1,000 people watching for 14 to 16 hours a day. You have $20,000 to spend on whatever the fuck you want. So
He doesn't even get how CPM really gets delivered, obviously, so we'll just leave it at that. I hope that's a business model.
I'm going to move on. We're going to denounce him from here on out. We're going to denounce him from here on out.
There's a lot of denouncing. There's a lot of names you can't mention, like on Star or on Halo.
On Halo, yeah.
I didn't prep you with the
People
list.
have been blacklisted, man.
yeah,
Wow.
it's only us because we sit in our throne and we're like, you know what? We're not talking about him.
Fuck you.
Yeah, those shouting obscenities for no reason. That's what we do.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are like Halo's live on 3, I think. I love it, man. You guys.
All we're doing is watching your show and going, let's do that. Let's do what Scoots is doing.
I have no problem with that.
I'm going to move on. This is a good one because a lot of the newcomers aren't going to understand. So Rhino, I've been talking to him on Skype. Shout out to Rhino. Why do pros feel free-for-all will bring the community together? How does it help? Why is free-for-all important? And Scott, I think you should start.
Jeez, man. You're throwing me square on the spot. I personally think it's good just because, as Clapp has said, that we've put these Halo players on this elite pedestal where no other amateur player can really reach them unless they go through the unthinkable and beat the 30 other teams who have registered for our events and just come out and get into that pro bracket. Where even still, I mean, they're thrown into pool play. These teams have already been playing on full screen. They're used to it. We put them at this pinnacle level. Now, assuming if that format is kept the same, where the 16 pro teams will be solidified in their little area, by doing the FFA, everyone is on the same level. And that gives the amateur players a chance to just knock out a pro. Or just to play against them. They don't realize how much these amateur players look up to them. I know when I first started playing Halo, I played Halo 1. I went to AGP3. I drove in a car for 12.5 hours with my brother, only to get eliminated by Zios, that just terrible person that he is, on Hang 'em High FFA. And I lost to him by 1 kill. And it ate at me. But the thing is I can say, till this day, that I gave Zios a run for my money at my first tournament. And that is something that is just, you hold on to false hope. And hope is the last evil, as we all know. But that is something that propelled me into the competitive scene. And I think just giving the players a chance helps.
Let's put it this way. Without free-for-all, we may not have Pistola, Strong Side, to an extent Ghosteami, and there's tons more players that I can be rattling off that I can't remember right now. But free-for-all, Joe Schmo at home sitting there watching the Halo Council, whatever we're called, you better believe that you can show up to MLG Columbus and win that free-for-all, because other players just like you who've been sitting at home for years have done it. Show up and win the free-for-all. That's all it takes.
Let me tell you a quick story about free-for-all and why it's so awesome. I had a team in Philly. I think it was Philly 05. It was like that Team Slayer Halo 2 tournament. Remember that, Scotty? And that was all free-for-all, too, for seeding. And we ended up having 3 players because somebody just dropped last minute. And I went to the tournament and picked some dude up, and he ended up getting 4th in the free-for-all. It was the best shit ever. And honestly, I'm not saying that free-for-all is awesome because he got 4th, but it was that buzz. All day long, kids were going around talking to other kids, wondering where they finished in the free-for-all and trying to figure out their team seed before anything was announced. Everybody was talking to everybody, and it was just more of a real tight-knit community scene. I think we're kind of missing that, and it'd be awesome to have it back. It's awesome that it's going to be in Columbus. I can't wait to see how it shapes out with the whole new crowd, though.
Scoots, you've been around.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, whenever we're talking about broadcasting, from the production booth side and being a broadcaster like you guys, it's always about storyline. Yeah. What little nugget can I, as a broadcaster, pull out during Game 3 about a player, right? And safe to say that FFA built a storyline for this guy. The guy was a beast that year. Karma. I'm showing a picture of Karma, right?
Absolutely.
And that was his storyline. The guy was destroying everybody in FFA. It's fun to watch. It's kind of that show off your individual skill thing. Whether it's used for seeding or not, kind of a different monster. But as a standalone hype thing, I think it's fantastic. And it's like you said, you get that unknown kid who can make a name in FFA that maybe leads them to a bigger and better team. And it gives you, Gandhi, this team, and FFA coming off his 3rd FFA championship. This guy, keep an eye on him today. He's been on fire all season. It's that one extra little thing. And then someone goes to his buddy, what's FFA? And then, he explains what it is. Holy shit, he is good, right? So it's good. It's another version of how your game is played. I wouldn't see it like any. Side note, they did a similar thing at this last Intel Extreme Masters. They took a bunch of the pros for StarCraft 2, and they had them FFA show matches. And the crowd went freaking nuts, and the stream went nuts. You got DeMuslim and all these guys in like an 8v8 playing StarCraft, right? Walling in and doing crazy shit. So it's not the exact game they play normally that you're used to seeing. It's a version. So it's the same thing when you watch Karma, right? So I'm all for it. I'm really excited to see it back.
Tumba?
Close that.
Yeah, I mean, any format that can afford somebody an opportunity to shine. Look at Linsanity, right? Lin was cut from, 2 NBA teams?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, anytime you get in where you fit in, that's what it's about. So this format, if it allows people to get in where they fit in and allows, stars to rise, you got to, that should be a highlight for sure. Definitely. I think it's a great, great step.
I like that analogy.
I'll be watching it.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he?
That was really good.
He's prepping for the Winter Arena. He's like, man, I had that one, but can't do it anymore.
Scotty, we got to step it up.
I know.
Next question.
I got to repeat it. If you're not going to Columbus thinking that you're winning the free-for-all, you're an idiot, because there's so many players who have done it who you're watching and following now. Go to Columbus, win the free-for-all, even if you've been sitting at home and you suck.
Unless you suck.
Free-for-all's random as shit sometimes, dude. Anyway, all right, I'm going to move on. I'm going to change this kid's question. Proven D wants to know, where do you see MLG? Oh, actually, this is a good one. Where do you see MLG in 3 years?
Blizzard headquarters. I couldn't resist.
Does anyone want to follow that up? Because I think we just...
Yeah, I think you're going to see it, pretty further along the point where it is now. I think MLG just kind of made its change. You're not going to see it shifts again in 3 years. This is where they're kind of looking to stay within StarCraft 2 and build on what they're doing now. So what you see this year is probably what you'll see in a more refined version in 3 years. I think that's safe to say.
Scoots?
I think I don't know where I'm going to see them because they themselves are very nervous. So they're making all of us very nervous about their own future.
I mean, let's not kid the nervousness.
Let's not kid ourselves. They are the most expensively funded business we have, and there's been some bigger ones come and go. But if you compare them to the other leagues that we all attend, like the amount of venture capital that has been behind them for the last 8 or so years, et cetera, like they spend and have spent a lot of money, good and bad, right? Again, that's put them in the situation where they're going down this road for pay-per-view for this next arena because they feel they need to. They need to at least test the waters to see if the market is willing to pay for their product. And we're going to find out in just a couple days. But I think where you see them is surviving. I think maybe they preach a little bit more doom and gloom than they need to on the state of esports in particular. If MLG goes out of business, it does not kill esports. It puts a dent in a lot of us, but it's not the end of the world for all of us yet. It does raise some red flags that we should all be very, very closely looking at. But I think where you're going to see them in 3 years is lean and mean, trimmed down like they're already starting to do, a lot more online stuff like you're seeing them start to do, and a lot less big, huge shows that you go attend in the sense of the traditional stops we've seen. They've got to trim some of that. You know, the same stuff that I was preaching about that I loved in 2006, the costly lights and the stage sets and all that. You can look at that and go, really cool, but is it too much? Was it too soon? Are they spending too much money? Do they need to spend this much yet? So I think they're going to continue to trim down and figure out where their rev streams are, right? And it scares me that they're going to jump from game to game because that's not how you build what we all need. And they kind of preach the fact that every 3 months they can do 3 different games. That's not the model I want to see. If you want to be a league to me that is the place to go, get recognized every 3 months as the best in this game, and this game, and this game, then you don't do these 3 games, then these 3 games, then these 3 games, because all you're doing now is throwing promo tournaments. So I don't know what games they're going to land on, but like, give us some homes, for these games. Don't keep shuffling. But they have to kind of that's the difference between traditional sports, right? We don't worry, and football doesn't go to their fan base and go, man, buy my jerseys or we got no NFL next year.
I get it.
And we kind of have to do that. We are a startup. This is a startup world we're living in. EG's a startup. One More Game TV is a startup. MLG, for all its millions of dollars, is a startup still. And so we're all trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. You know? It's kind of scary but cool at the same time.
I'm going to move to
that answer actually gave you a lot of shit.
Yeah, dude, like, overload. I appreciate it, but son of a bitch.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
It's just so much hitting me in the head. I'm like, man.
There's just no one answer to all this shit. There never is, man. That's the thing.
It's okay. You wanted to say Blizzard. It's cool. Going from New York to Anaheim. We'll be hanging out. Earthquake come in 7 years. California's gone. No more Blizzard.
Diablo 3, StarCraft 2, and whatever else they're releasing.
All right.
For MLG and 3.
Euphorix wants to know, who is Toby's and Scoots' pick for caster, Halo caster? If you guys don't know, there's a little race going on. There's all these guys in the pool, and MLG hasn't picked their Halo caster. Who would you like to see as a Halo caster? Corey Dunn.
I'm tied.
It's picked
right
already,
now.
But nobody knows who, besides some certain people. But you can
I'm
pick
tied,
anybody.
And I know both people aren't on the list, but I was really pulling for Dmaq. But I'm really, it's a tie between. And I'm not just saying this because it's on the show. Like Nexy, I think you have a really good voice and you could do it really well. And Dmaq has all the passion in the world, also a good voice and can do it really well. So I was up between you and Dmaq. I was all Dmaq until Apicella started, leaning your way next. And I'm like, hey, he makes some good points also. So
Thank you.
I told you I lost supporters from that.
I'm not in the race, by the way.
Slammed. You got slammed.
Well, you need 2 things at least. You need the host, anchor, play-by-play guy, and you need the color commentary guy. So who is the guy that has applied that can give the best? We'll be right back after this commercial break. You've been watching the MLG here at Columbus, brought to you by. Who can do that? Like the DJ Wheat Roll, I like to call it. And I would say sitting next to that person needs to be the guy who knows the game really well, who knows the history of the players really well, the color commentary, which in real sports is often an ex-pro. So I don't know all who applied, But I would say that would be a place where Gandhi could sit probably because he's got a wealth of knowledge in that regard. Bravo applied, right? He's player/coach kind of guy, so he can give that.
He'd be a good pick.
But again, you need the anchor. Who is your host? That was Puckett's role before, right? So he's not doing it. That is very important. That guy's got to hold your show. So
that's kind of what. So that was pretty much. So basically, I'm awaiting my casters.
Yeah, you're in, right, Gandhi?
Yeah.
That's why I didn't pick you, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the play-by-play is what Puckett has strongly molded me into now. Okay. And that's why I'm bringing it in. So now it's kind of like at the standstill of, who's the other guys to pick? And I said I like Dmaq for putting on a show for the whole weekend. That's why Dmaq and I will be going to the LAN network all weekend long. And then from there, it's really just a big toss-up. And, I mean, first event, too, I have to – it's scary to put faith into someone who hasn't actually casted for a whole weekend, And from StarCraft, Tumba, that people are terrified to cast with others just out of the blue because they're like, what if he's funnier than me?
I would rather co-cast than solo cast. When they told us we were solo casting the beta streams, I'm like, get ready, buckle up, Reddit's gonna love this. Yeah. But it went okay, man. It went okay. Like you just do it. Like at least when you co-cast, you get a breath and you have time to talk to somebody else. But you're right though, right? Because chemistry is so important, and if it gets awkward, people like Scoot said, man, everybody has a keyboard and an opinion, and it can go so bad so fast.
Well, here's a question I have.
I mean, like I would throw out Corey Dunn as a host, but I don't think he's a Halo guy, right? But he is certainly the guy that can go, hey, we'll be right back after this. Like he can give those sponsor plugs. He's got the voice. He's got the anchor ability. He doesn't have the game knowledge like he does in Counter-Strike or now Call of Duty, right?
But he'll learn it in one event. He did it for Call of
Duty.
He
Are you doing a three-way? Three-way? Are you guys doing 3 guys up there or 2?
No, we only do 2 now. 3 just
2. Okay.
Yeah, we're looking. It's 2 more people that need to be in the booth, for rotation. And then also that means, as it stands now, unless it is Corey Dunn who comes in, the next the 2 people who get in, I have to pick one of them to mold into a play-by-play guy as well. So it's like.
Well, here's my question, and let me know if
Sundance should get back in that booth.
Me thinking,
is he listed?
Yeah,
probably not.
He probably is. I'm sure he watches the Halo Count.
Sundance is incredible in the booth.
Yeah, he is. He's honestly.
He could be the expert, to be honest. I'll do the play-by-play. He can be the expert.
My question is throwing on this Halo tournament, you want it to have the best type of stream value that it could have. You want it to look the best. You want it to be the most poppin' tournament ever. With that being said, the game types haven't been announced. The commentators haven't been announced. Leaving all of this in MLG's hands is kind of how we got fucked last year. Why isn't this in the fans' hands? Why aren't the fans who are going to the tournament picking the game types? And why aren't the fans who are going to the tournaments and watching on the street?
People, by and large, don't always make good decisions. I don't know if that's... I see what you're saying, Dmaq, but still, I mean, what looks good on paper sounds good.
We made bad decisions last year, is what I'm saying. And I just don't think that... I hope that we make the right decisions. And obviously, I support anything MLG does. It's awesome what they're doing in any kind of way. But if you want to put on the best tournament, give the people what they want. I feel like the Halo community as a whole hasn't always gotten what they want, and that's kind of why they've shied away and divided, and now we've kind of fallen.
He's basically saying he wants to be in the booth.
And Dmaq, you are no longer with MLG. Is that correct, Dmaq? You are no longer with them?
No, I'm working at MLG. I'm working at the big booth, which is last year. I did the MLG booth all last year.
Yeah,
and I'm
but no longer working, like you used to work for them on a more regular basis, if I recall, in the city.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
Check. Okay.
And honestly, that's my thing is I wanted the community to pick the game types. I thought it would have been awesome if the community picked the casters. And you know what? I don't think I would have been picked over Bravo.
No, I wouldn't have.
I really don't believe I would have been picked over Bravo. I think that's, Bravo is a very popular dude. And if he got picked, he should have been deserving to cast. And that's what I'm saying. I think it should be, if it's truly, because that's the way StarCraft 2 is for the most part.
Well, yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Like, you're not going to see 2v2s in StarCraft on the main stage. Not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
We dictate the game types. We wouldn't even go to the events. Like, I don't think. It would be a joke. Like,
balance,
it's a
community versus league government, man. If that Scoots was hitting.
Yeah, league government. And again, it goes back to what Scoot said. You got to get away from, you got to stand on your own, too. And you know what? Like, with MLG, I think it's a fact, and I'm going to cast for him. Like I said, and I'm on a plane in 5 hours. But, you know, you ask the question where they're going to be in 3 years. They better be lean, and they better get their shit together because there's only so much venture capital, right? And if I can be, you know, a bit objective, how long can you run on that? I mean, you got to be able to go to the website, and Sundance says he gets it, but at the same time, it's kind of disheartening, I think, for the Halo community to have to search for a way to buy a pass. Like, so I think as a Halo community, you need to be louder about getting that done, right? You need to be, don't sit there and wait for MLG. Get on them. Like Nexy said, you know what? I'm not going to complain. I'm going to make a splash page. Boom, done. That's what needs to be done. Like, you guys need to take the initiative and take it to them. And don't, MLG. No, take it to them. Make them listen.
I wasn't trying to complain too hard. Like, you can click the store and click the pass. My complaints were more that if you went to their homepage, you don't really know there's a Halo tournament going on. And I was kind of egging it up a little bit, but let's
be honest. I mean, let's be honest though. MLG website, and Sundance will tell you this, is not very user friendly at all. It's not.
Yeah.
Like,
he said it a couple weeks ago.
For anybody, for StarCraft, for Halo, for anybody. Like, it really isn't.
As a Halo player, you click that website, that is not a website hosting a Halo tournament. You would never, ever know. Go ahead.
Yeah, completely thrown off now, thanks.
I'll just
Complete
throw this
in.
Andrew Ellis just tweeted me and said, only Classic is the only team out of all the pro teams who've purchased a pro pass so far. I can't confirm or deny this, but only Classic has bought their pro pass, their pro team pass.
15 teams left.
Yeah, so that's positive thing too. So 15 more teams, and hopefully, you know, I think if you cross 150, MLG community, you know, is fucking awesome.
All right, well, here's another thing. I mean, when we had Clap on the show, he was talking about it's up in the air as to whether or not they're going to get stipends. Now, there has been countless amount of players who have floated in that 9 through 16 bubble just to get that $400 stipend, never to get money out of the game. So how the hell are you going to expect them to get out there? That was probably one of their only means of getting out there. I'm saying I would not be surprised if we saw some of the teams through the 9 through 16 not attend, or at least individual players.
And yeah, Scotty, again, that's that type of shit where, you know, you set expectations here, but then, like, compared to what we had last year, it's like, oh, wait, now you don't have this, now you don't have this, and now you don't have this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's kind of disappointing, which is why I think the Halo community kind of needs to step up. Like Tumba was saying, we need to step up and make our voices known, and I think we have. And we need to prove people wrong. That's the number one key. We're not going to, you know, you could tell us that it's 6 weeks before, and we'll still fucking show up no matter what, just to stick it in your face. Next time, let us know 12 weeks ahead, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're going to have to do as a Halo community.
Yeah, I think I just switched my topic for the booth. Can I pick Nexy for the booth just based on profanity? I love you, Dmaq. I love you. I'm just saying. I don't know how that's going to go over with the sponsors. I'm not sure.
I like the word motherfuckers.
No. Here's my question. Okay.
All
right, so listen. There is this word that I quite frankly, hate in every way, shape, and form. And it's used in esports on the regular in the Halo community of them all, called professionalism. Now, professionalism in esports, I think it just makes no fucking sense. Now, Tumba, from the most prestige game on esports, I'm going to fluff you up to give me the answer. What the fuck is this professionalism, and where do you draw the line? Is there a line?
This is something I'm grappling with myself, because as a fan, when I originally heard, I don't care about profanity. I'm a big fan of Wu-Tang and Allman Brothers. I like all kind of music, but I'm going somewhere with this, all right? I'm shocked that there's as much profanity on shows, that they are as loose as they are, and that freedom is good in esports right now. However, from a business perspective, when you're trying to sell and market something, it's always safer to go sometimes with a guy that's not as controversial and isn't going to drop, profanity, especially when it's based on video games where a lot of parents are already concerned because there's a negative connotation associated with video games already. So I think we have a responsibility, actually, to be professional, especially in an MLG setting. Not to say you can't have fun, or you sell out, but still there is a definite line, and I think we should hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Scoots, I would like for you to chime in on this.
Tom makes very, very good points. I think at the end of the day, regardless of age, we're an industry about playing video games, which has a lot of fun, has a lot of anger, has a lot of competition. Competition breeds rivalry, breeds trash talk, breeds unprofessionality, from the pro level of real sports all the way down to what we do. Major sports league have fines if players say certain things, or if they make it on camera, or they say things to refs. There's ramifications for bad behavior, right? But they still behave badly. All our top sports athletes, not all of the athletes, but all sports have these guys, right? Again, back to the Barkleys and the Dennis Rodmans. Like, they're nobody's role model, right? They're just basketball players. I think, again, back to the part where we're a startup and we're trying to grow this, Tumba makes a very valid point. Better to be on the safe side, to not offend, than to just go for it. Now, I'm guilty. I run a show with Wheat and Slasher, and we swear all the fucking time. We don't censor ourselves that way. What my hot buttons are racism and homophobic terms. Those two. But if you call me a fucking asshole, all right, well, whether that's on Xbox or on Steam. Now, again, different thing. Like, MLG's product is MLG's product. And so if they say no swearing or keep it PG-13, I'm all for that. Even when we do our Masters Cup streams, like DJ Wheat pulls it back a little bit because we have a little higher level of sponsorship, a little higher level of exposure to those sponsors. So you kind of step it up. We're not dropping a lot of F-bombs. They're dressed a little nicer. So it's a time and the place kind of thing. I think I've got some bad-mannered players, without a doubt, on my StarCraft team. I've had them on Counter-Strike teams. I've had them, and even before I was with EG, I was around a lot of bad-mannered people. So, again, I think the only thing I've ever said to our players is stay away from words like faggot and rape and gay and, the N-bombs. Like, stay away from homophobic stuff and racial stuff. But if you're mad about something and you want to go, God fucking damn it, and you type that, all right, you're a pro athlete who just got his ass kicked and he's pissed, and that's how you're going to vent. No different than LeBron walking off the court and under his breath going, God fucking damn it, I hate this fucking team. And it happens, right? So time and a place. I try to always remind myself that I'm in a land of fun, video games. I'm not in an accounting office crunching numbers and making sure my spreadsheets, like we're in something kind of fun and loose and hardcore and edgy, right? Do snowboarders swear? Do skateboarders swear? Yeah, we're kind of more of that than we are tennis players, golfers, football players, I think. Like that, like we're the Shaun Whites, we're the Tony Hawks, and they're a little looser. And again, like for our show, Live on 3, our sponsors, before they gave us a dime, SteelSeries Gunner, were well aware of what they were sponsoring. You would never want to ambush a sponsor and go, this is my show, and then they show up and they're like, what? Get my logo off the stream, And so you have to fit your sponsorship to what they're buying into, right? And there's a fit for that. So that's my take on it. Would it hurt if we were all a little nicer and a little more professional? No, it wouldn't. Not at all.
I do think there's a distinction, though. I was talking from the perspective of a broadcaster. I think players really, don't fake it. Go for it.
And you don't want them to fake it.
That's something that I can use as a broadcaster, good or bad. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of that story. I love emotion. Or I love people being stoic also. They both have their place. Players, I think, should have a lot more leeway. It's super competitive. Yeah. Broadcasters, though, definitely need to keep it premium.
I had one guy at MLG ask me, I think this was after the Huck hallucination against Idra. And the guy was like, is he really pissed? Is he just acting like the villain wrestler? And I'm like, you obviously have never competed at anything at a very high level. He is beyond pissed. Not only did he get embarrassed, but he got embarrassed on a stream in front of all these people by that guy. what you just saw, that anger, is exactly the real storyline that Real Sports has, right? The agony of defeat. That shit ain't acting, you know? And Sheth acting nice and being kind of mannered bear is Sheth in a way, right? That's not acting. If we get to the point where we're actually making these guys act like villains or act like saints, it's time to check out, you know? Again, I kind of wish sometimes I could go to Greg, can you act not so, like, it's not an act, right? That's him. There's no script.
Nope. Well, I think I'm about all community questioned out. I don't know how you guys feel, but my ass question. Is a little tired.
I want to end it on one question, if that's cool.
Okay.
And it's a question from me, and I want brutal honesty. Where is Halo in 6 months, 3 months, whatever?
Wherever you all take it, dude.
Tumba.
Where do I hope it is, or where do I think it is? Brutal honesty.
Brutal honesty. Is it dead?
Okay.
Is it dead?
No, I don't think so. Or else this show would already be gone. I think you take Columbus in stride no matter what happens, and you forge on. And I like I forget who said, maybe Dmaq, saying fuck it, we'll just go to lands. You know what I mean? We'll just start over with lands. So no, there's no way Halo's dead. Not even close. Not even close. MLG does not determine the life or death of Halo.
D.
I got the Dmaq lens at my motherfucking crib. And if that ain't professional, I don't give a fuck. Okay?
Halo might be dead. Halo might be dead.
I second thought.
No, but seriously, look, we got the LAN network. We've been talking to Beyond Gaming. Red Bull is still getting involved with Halo. It's not dead. And, you know, even if MLG didn't pick it up at Columbus, I think we would have been just as fine. Hey, we'll be okay. And Halo 4 is going to be so much better than Reach. We have that feeling. And even if it isn't, 3 more years of this, and we'll get Halo 5. So it's all good.
You sound like a Counter-Strike fan at this point now. Oh, my God.
I think
this game will be good. It will be. It'll be.
Yeah, we do feel like Counter-Strike at this point. I look at it like this. Regardless of what happens, however MLG paints the line as to picked up for the next event or not, I think Halo Reach may have a very early run and in MLG this season, and you know that's fine because we still have the LAN network and we're going to have other tournaments. It's just going to give us a place to grow. And the only reason I say that is because the second event is Raleigh, and unless MLG plans on picking up Gears of War as well, they're going to be basically punching Epic Games directly in the face when they go to their hometown and say, you know what, you guys put in this spectator mode for us, you've been working with us hand in hand, fuck you, we don't give a shit what you have done for us, we're not picking your game up for the circuit. Money is got to be an issue. There's no possible way that they can pay out Halo and Gears of War and whatever other games they bring on. I think they have to draw the line there, and if you're looking at camaraderie and professional respect, I would see Gears of War at the second event and Halo taking the back seat. And it also would not be a bad idea just because Halo 4 is going to be in the fourth quarter. So I could see it taking a seat, but it doesn't mean it's dead.
People are still playing Halo 1. And that was a much smaller community than Halo reaches. And, you know, it's not about if MLG picks it up for me anymore. I'm still doing the work on websites. I'm still producing the show. Dmac's not kidding about having a LAN at his house. He will invite you fuckers over. Like, this is real, guys. It's living through us now, not MLG. So just get used to it and believe that because you're just as much a part of this as we are. It's not about MLG anymore.
The safest thing you all can do and your community can do is think that this is your last event with MLG, that they will go a different direction and they will not use your game again. And don't stop, stop worrying about that carrot. If it comes, if Columbus is good for them and they go, you know what, Halo again, great.
That's
nothing.
Cool.
That's even better for you. But pretend that the carrot is going away so you can focus your community's energy and your guys' energy to these other lands, these other events, and support the other people that are supporting you. You know, I would suggest that you all look at what Total Biscuit is doing. Here's a guy who does a lot of broadcasting, has done for a lot of years, a bunch of different games, now doing StarCraft, and he's throwing a shitload of online tournaments, doing it himself, him and his little crew, getting a little bit of sponsor money, getting fans to donate money to go into Kitty, giving it all right back to the teams. I don't know if your game is as easy to do online as it is for us at this point for Reach, because these are all online tournaments. for the most part. But again, it's his way as a caster to kind of help give back, and he's doing that in a community that fights for weekends for what they're going to watch, right? Because there's too much on. So your fan base would probably eat something like that up. Just don't wait for anybody else, man. Start doing it. Maybe it's just show matches. Maybe it's Instinct versus Straight Rippin' or whoever, right? Like, get some stuff going. Yeah. And again, assume, even though it's a bad word, you know, when you assume, make an ass in front of you and me, assume MLG is done with you. That is the best thing you can do for your own future. It really is.
Well said.
Sweet.
Well said.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it. Tumba and Scoots, I cannot thank you guys enough for coming on the show. If you have any shout-outs, feel free.
2+ hours.
Yeah.
Usually you're on a show,
Yeah.
and you're kind of
I have a League of Legends game, like, in progress right now.
Oh, that's terrible.
That
is terrible. You would play LOL. That makes sense.
The baseball of esports. No, yeah, shout out to... sorry.
No, you give your shout-outs. I got to take a piss.
Yeah, shout out to, of course, StimTV, Entertainment, Anna Prosser for filling in this week for Behind the Screen. She did a wonderful job. And just the esports in general. And you guys, of course, all of you guys, Dmaq, Gandhi, Nexy, thank you guys so much for having me on.
And again, I echo what Tumba said. You know, thank you guys for having us on. It's always nice to, you know, talk to other community leaders, so to speak. And I know all you guys and have for quite a few years. So it's kind of cool to be in your world and talk to you about some of this stuff. Obviously, big shout out to EG, all our players, all our staff, all our sponsors. One More Game TV as well. Check out Live on 3. We do a weekly podcast about pro gaming. We even talk about Halo when it's happening. It's Wednesdays. Didn't do one this week because the week was moving. So yeah, and what I say at the end of every Live on 3, like whatever game you like, whatever sport you're a fan of, figure out how to support that community. If your favorite team sells T-shirts or mouse pads or has a nice website, go click on some ads. Go post on their forums. Go buy their stuff. If you like what these guys are doing, subscribe to them, support them. If they start selling T-shirts, buy it. Support MLG. They are giving you an event. So take care of them. And anyone else. Any of these other teams that are popping up or events, support their stuff. If they sell an HD option, if you can afford it, buy it. You know, it does make a difference. Your favorite team, if your favorite team is Instinct, knock on all their sponsors' doors via Twitter and Facebook. Say, hey, thanks for supporting Pistola and Gang. Really like it. Really appreciate it. Because we are at that phase where sponsors hear that. It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet to them. When they see those tweets, when they see that Facebook, they go, okay, a fan is talking to us. The money is working, right? Nobody tweets Titleist and goes, hey, I bought some golf clubs because you sponsored Tiger Woods. Thanks, brah. It doesn't happen, right? They don't need that. We all need that still. So do that, you know? And again, thank you guys for having us on, you know? You are the passionate Scootses and the Tumbas of your world, right? And your game needs that. So, you know, good on you, man. Good on you.
Well said. All right, Dmaq, you don't get shout-outs. Yeah, you don't get bypasses. That's our closing line. If you don't, screw it. We'll still be here. We're not going anywhere. We have nothing else to do at Wednesday at 11 o'clock. South Park's done for this season. And plus it comes on at 10. So, in reality, all we're doing is missing Adult Swim. Not a big deal. Thank you very much once again, Tumba and Scoots. You know I love you. We have our Twitter communications. But in regards of the Halo Council, we're done. Thank you all for tuning in. Successful day. Thank you very much.
CNC bus.